celebrations, encounters, and exchanges of the modern breakfast. Shh! It's my mom's birthday, and I'm going to make her breakfast, the most important meal of the day. What can I make? Well, Mom says I'm too young to use a stove. She said in the 1800s they used to use these all the time. They made things like eggs and bacon. To me, that sounds like a farmer's breakfast. But with the onset of the Industrial Revolution, more and more workers were moving into cities, and the needs for breakfast changed. Breakfast fell in importance. People had to explore new options for breakfast, like leftovers or bread and cheese. The whole world's diet was changing. Back when everyone ate a big farmer's breakfast, the only nutrients they got were protein and fat. And do you know what that leads to? Indigestion. Ew. So I'm not going to make that. But you know what I can make? Aw man, I got my cereal all over the floor. This encounter reminds me about how this story truly began. Two brothers, John and Will Kellogg, were raised in Battle Creek, Michigan. Now, their family had a strict diet. They couldn't eat meat, caffeine, or even sugar. Both the brothers got a job at their father's broom factory where they first learned to work. But as John grew older, he explored a different path. He got a job at the Seventh-day Adventist Church. John was inspired by the teachings of his pastors, James and Ellen White. Ellen even had a vision about John. She said John would someday fulfill a major role in God's service. They inspired him to take over the Battle Creek Sanitarium. This was a place where people came to learn how to be healthy. It attracted some of the most important people of that day, including William H. Taft, Rockefeller, Thomas Edison, and Henry Ford. At the sanitarium, John taught all he knew about health and biologic living. He taught people about the dangers of alcohol and tobacco. Each patient was tailored a personal meal and exercise plan specific to their body and their current health state. Well, some of the health practices there weren't exactly practical, like light therapy. I feel better already. Do you? Patients appreciated the good health, but they didn't appreciate the crazy treatments and boring meals, like hay bales. So John hired Will to work in the food research kitchen. Will was instructed by John to make a simple grain-based breakfast that patients would actually want to eat. One day he was experimenting with wheatberry, but he became overwhelmed and he headed home, leaving the wheat trays out. The next morning, he found that the wheat had flaked. I believe it was the greatest accident of all time. Will invented it. But of course, John took credit. Classic older brother. But John wasn't the only one taking advantage of Will's ideas. Charles W. Post was a patient at the sanitarium. He was interested in the new food too, so every morning he would sneak into the kitchen and encounter Will's work. He saw how excited Will was when he produced his new food called cereal, and he instantly left to create his first cereal called Grape Nuts after the sanitarium dish. Post later came back to graciously thank the brothers by spitting tobacco in their face, and he called John a dog. Will was enraged, but John cleverly replied, "You know what dogs do to posts, don't you?" Over the next few years, Will pleaded to his brother to let him start his own cereal business as he watched the Post sales skyrocket. But John refused. He wanted to keep it an exclusive sanitarium dish. And so the argument began. This reminds me of one of my favorite cereals, Sugar Smacks. Puffs of wheat, smackin' sweet. Well, things were about to get smackin', or smokin'. In 1902, the sanitarium burnt down. But this was a release that Will craved. Will left his brother and started the Kellogg Cereal Company. This, of course, made John mad, and he even took his own brother to court for using the family name. After years of court battles, Will finally received the right to use his own last name again, and he made Kellogg's a household name forever. John continued his studies in health, being the first to look at heart disease with diabetes. Well, Will founded the cereal empire and changed the world. After that, the brothers pledged to never speak to each other again. By 1910, wax paper packaging was invented, which made this product more accessible than ever. And by 1912, Battle Creek became the cereal capital of the world. Over 100 cereal companies popped up. Will knew that the key to having a successful business was having hardworking and well-paid employees. By 1929, the Great Depression struck, and Will knew that if he had the means to help his people, he had the responsibility to do so. He found a way to create more routine shifts so more people could obtain jobs during the Depression. He even managed to increase his sales during this time period. During World War II, he provided pay rations for soldiers to keep them fed. The rations inspired the variety packs we have today. But with the post-war baby boom, it was time to find a new target consumer. Children. They're great! Will was a genius in marketing. He was able to advertise his product in such a way that children couldn't live without their favorite cereal. He was the first to provide a prize along with your Kellogg's cereal box. Kellogg's even teamed up with television to create 30-minute cartoons about your favorite cereal characters. Other companies followed, and the effects on children were so great that in 1973 a child advertising law was made restricting the amount of food advertising there was to children. Will died in 1951 just before sugared cereal exploded. This concept was foreign to Will because he never had sugar growing up, and sugar was definitely banned from the sanitarium. But he thought he needed to make it sweet enough that people would buy it, and healthy enough that they would receive the whole grains and vitamins that they needed. John was appalled by Will's decision to add sugar, and he described the act as the greatest sin. Although Will didn't see the harm in adding a little sugar, he knew that they could overdo it. At least he knew that it shouldn't taste like chocolate cake, and that adding too much sugar would defeat the purpose of a nutritious breakfast. Kellogg's did go overboard on their sugar as well, though. Their Honey Smacks have 55% sugar. It's the #1 ingredient. Kellogg's was the first to provide nutritional information on boxes before it was federally mandated in 1990. In the 90s, they started the Kellogg Institute for Food and Nutrition Research. We still have a far way to go, though. Some cereals are very good for you and still taste good too, the way Will envisioned. But some had gone the way John predicted. The exploration of a healthier breakfast definitely made its mark on history. The need for change was prominent, and cereal was the solution worldwide. Now breakfast can be the most important meal of the day. The encounters between John and Will were both prophetic. John for his health practices, and Will for the popularity of cereal. They both depended on their outward encounters, like the whites, and even post, to ensure their success. Cereal was truly brought up by the exchange of ideas. Whether it be sugar, advertising, or humanitarian work, all of its success came from these exchanges. Although John and Will had the original ideas, they were able to exchange them with others. If you would have asked Will what he wanted to be remembered for, he would have said that he invested in his people, and that is what he did. He went on to become one of the greatest philanthropists in American history. In 2010, his company was awarded the Spirit of America Award, but he influenced not only people in America, but people worldwide. Because of him, Kellogg's has started a Give a Child Breakfast campaign where they pledge to feed the hungry children of the world. Cereal is an essential part of the school breakfast program, and it has made it so less people go unfed. Because of both John and Will, breakfast is now the most important meal of the day. Oh, I think I hear my mom. I better bring her this balanced and nutritious breakfast. Bye.